All right, welcome and thank you everyone for joining us for another Twitter Space. It is July 5th, and this is episode 5 of the ledgerscale Internet of Value Open Forum. And I just want to say ledgerscale was founded with two goals in mind. One, we want to provide educational services to not only our community, but to scale up the number of brains that understand how distributed ledger technology works. And two, we intend to one day run hardware to provide infrastructural support to the distributed ledger technology networks that we believe are ESG friendly and running a form of decentralized consensus. We host these spaces Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, starting at 3:30 Eastern Standard, and we typically keep them for around 2 hours. And on Wednesday, we host a 5 to 6 Eastern Standard Time space on a focused topic. This week's topic, we're going to actually have two guys on who are doing something innovative in the derivative space, and I will leave it at that for now. We're going to post some videos about what they're doing closer to the, I should say, well, tomorrow, because tomorrow's Wednesday. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's coming. If you could retweet the space and follow us at Twitter at ledgerscale. Because we do these every single day, and we wouldn't be doing them if it wasn't for everybody enjoying them and finding them valuable.
Yeah, and so we're basically just here to engage the community. So please, if anybody has a question, just raise your hand. I see some familiar faces, so I think you guys know how it works. If you're curious about something, I'm sure somebody else is curious about the same thing, and it's an open forum on at least Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And just be cordial if you do choose to speak up, and welcome to the space.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Yeah, so far so good. There's quite a bit going on recently, honestly.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
The AMM stuff, I'm still not quite done with my first read. I told you I read slow, but I'm not quite done with my first read through, but I'm starting to piece the different sections together.
Yeah.
It's not exactly an easy read. But yeah, it's like I gotta figure out how there's going to be a reason why a lot of these different elements are designed the way they are, because those different elements are going to interact with each other. When I get to there, it'll click.
The good part is that they kind of highlighted also the source, basically, where they say, how they prevent or basically maximize the profits. Else you would have to read, let's say, the white paper from Uniswap, and then or the part where they describe the algorithm, the code, and then you have to read the AMM from Ripple again to see like what's the difference. So that's cool that they highlighted it already. So basically, for everyone who is already familiar, can skip to these parts and see how it works, because the curve basically that they use, this is fair. I mean, I did not expect that they do something else or so. It is on par with like what you see on what you would see on Flare or on Uniswap and
Are you familiar with the liquidity curve thinking from like the early period. I think that was ILP.
I know from, but I haven't digged sadly not deep enough, because I think that was when already after DeFi hype and everything. There was a Uniswap version 1, and then they changed it to the curve. But before the curve, it was not a curve; it was more a linear, a line basically. And this is interesting to see, like how or what the benefits are compared to, let's say, with the linear. I mean, there's the equation with, I forgot what it is. X multiple y equals k or something, and so this is where you have like the equilibrium, but then you have the curve again, and this is a better step forward. So I'm not very deep into it, I have to admit, but for anyone who is interested in, I think it's a nice topic to dig in, compared to these protocols on Ethereum, to see like how they did evolve, and how we have now, with the aim. Because certainly they copied, of course, certain parts of it. I mean, it's obvious because it's proven. But
Yeah, and I'm not entirely surprised. Like, I think that there's likely some sense there. Like, it passes the scratch and sniff test. I mean, you have bond and like yield curve in the bond market. You have yield curves. What's that? What's that? They claim to be insurance type of service. Their payouts are on a curve as well. I think it makes sense. I mean, it's at least a step in the right direction. I don't know if it's the final business model, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not the final. Like we will see, like with more objects on the ledger, how it behaves and everything. I mean, very recent we see really the issue of XS20, and very recent. I didn't knew that, but I got told with pathfinding. Okay, so this is, so every new object basically you add to the ledger, you have to kind of look how it works with pathfinding, and especially the edge cases are not so trivial to cover and to think about. So because you have to make sure that nothing breaks and everything. And basically, right now we are stuck in that sense. We are stuck in that we cannot. So they are stuck right now. They are stuck right now in the sense of we cannot update our nodes and validators. By the way, I finally spun up a node today. Was funny. But we cannot update the stuff, because if we update, and basically over 80% and everything, also with the voting, we amendment block everyone who's not updated, right? So the issue is with the new update right now, of the new version from Ripple D, is there is an issue with pathfinding. Okay, so there's issue with pathfinding and XS20 and the fixes of XS20. So what's right now happening? So this is why they don't push it over the 80% mark, basically, and activate it, because then they would amendment block all nodes and validators who are on an older version. And we have a lot of nodes and validators on the older version running, also at XRP Labs. Why? Because they are basically who hold up the pathfinding on the ledger, because they cannot update to the new version, because if they would, then pathfinding is gone. So they need to have nodes and validators operate on an older version to ensure pathfinding works on a ledger right now. Right, it works right now. It's totally it's a mess right now. But this is why I mean, I assume so. They will now probably try to clean everything up. Basically, they stop all the fixes. They will say, hey, we have to go back to step one and
you're
clear
not going
everything
to
up.
get rid of pathfinding just by
No, no, no,
updating.
no, no. Oh yeah. No, they will not get rid of pathfinding, but pathfinding has an issue if they update. So if they update, then pathfinding is not gonna work anymore. Like without any issues. That's the thing. It collides with XS20 and the fixes. Okay, they figured that out with whatever testing they did. We were still waiting for the performance report. But this is the issue right now, that they cannot update, because then you have no nodes and validators anymore who can operate without issues, right? For pathfinding, right? I'm not aware that anything else is targeted with this.
Pathfinding's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why
that's your routing mechanism.
Exactly,
right?
And this is why they're doing it, right?
You need that. I mean, look at dude, pathfinding's huge.
They're not gonna risk, and this is why. I mean, we see this. XS20, XS20 has such a huge demand, and everyone wants XS20, and the fact is that they don't push it. I mean, it outlines how important for them pathfinding is, and right so, because it's not the right way. You cannot bring in a new object just to make pathfinding worse, and then what you do now, then you basically come in the circle of fixing an issue in a running system, and this is not good. So they're going to hold off with XS20 for the meantime. They're going to clean up all the mess probably, so we need probably more patience with that. And
well, pathfinding's so big. Look at, I joined this sologenic space earlier today, and look at all the, I feel like a lot of these people are reinventing the wheel with like the DEX stuff, and like that's your connection point. And like when you look at the original Bitcoin, there's no exchange, right? That's why there had to be external centralized exchanges that you could trade your fiat for your Bitcoin for. And now there's all sorts of networks between the exchanges, and this is the internet of value growing. But if you get pathfinding is critical value add. I mean, the DEX, I don't think it's not a DEX if it, well, I mean, you could still have people place specific orders where I know the exact path that I want my payment to flow through. It could still be multi-hop, but I would have to predetermine that path, versus pathfinding kind of does the routing work for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty. I mean, it's not. You see already where they're going. I mean, the next after XS20 is the AMM, so they cannot basically mess up the pathfinding with XS20. Then they come with the AMM that utilizes the pathfinding. It would just be a step backwards again, and they would go nowhere. I mean,
I knew it had to use pathfinding. I didn't know how, and I'm still not pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I still don't understand how, but I knew it had to use pathfinding.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I've understood so far is this liquidity token issuance thing. They black hole the address, and I'm talking about the methods of doing it.
But that's fairly similar to other protocols also on Ethereum. The issuance of liquidity LP tokens, basically, these are usually also tradable, I think, and not necessarily, but you can trade them back to get your initial funds out. But under the influence, what happened?
Sorry, but I'm gonna interrupt you. So in whatever is gonna happen in the XRP ledger, is it gonna be LP token?
You need LP token, because LP token determines your share of the pool. Because how should I know, in that with other interactions with the ledger, how much you contributed to the ledger?
How can you do that with no permanent loss?
There is no permanent loss. no permanent. There is permanent loss, but there is the secret sauce is less permanent loss.
The way you do that, Egyptian, is you enable the liquidity providers to only contribute a single asset, right? Because in permanent loss, that risk is basically, I mean, you can't have that's like the risk. You can't have that risk without having exposure to two assets.
Okay. So
right, it's the ratio between the two assets that's the risk.
Okay, so let me ask simple questions because I'm kind of confused with it. So I hope whatever question I'm gonna ask is gonna clear the idea. So let's say if I went to Uniswap, okay, and I wanna do whatever DeFi, whatever. Let's say if I have $1,000 of XRP, okay, in order to get the LP token, I would basically sell half of my XRP to USDT. So I'm gonna have half USDT and half XRP. Is that correct? No
I'm
answer.
sorry, I didn't catch the last part.
Sorry, can you repeat again?
Okay,
I lost
so
you.
let's say I have XRP now. Okay, let's say I'm gonna take my XRP and go to Uniswap. I know XRP is not in Uniswap, but just for example, okay.
Yeah, you go to Uniswap.
Yeah, let's say I have $1,000 XRP and I went to the Uniswap. So
Yeah,
in Uniswap, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to sell half of my XRP to USDT. So I'm gonna have $500 USDT, $500 XRP.
yeah,
Then I'm gonna put in a pool and I'm gonna have my LB token. Is that correct?
yeah.
Okay. Now, if XRP went 100% up, there is permanent loss is gonna occur here because basically the more it goes up, the more they are gonna sell XRP and transfer it to
Exactly.
USD to balance the pool. Is that correct?
I think it would be otherwise. The more you would get more USDT,
Yes,
and less XRP because people take
that's
out
correct.
XRP from the pool. Yeah,
That's correct.
yeah.
But now, with what Triple wanna do, I'm only gonna
They
provide
they they
XRP. I'm not gonna do the USDT part. I'm not gonna convert part of my XRP to USDT. Is that correct or no?
yeah. The thing is, you meant this is the two-sided pool that you mentioned, and
Yes,
eliminating their what is it, permanent loss is not possible. I mean, I don't know how that should
yeah.
work.
So
But the
basically,
thing is,
yeah,
with
No, you
the
can't.
single-sided
Can't
pool,
do it
yeah,
on
you
a
can do.
two-sided pool. You can't
Yeah,
get rid of it.
I know,
The
but
only way you can address some permanent loss is by enabling the liquidity provider to supply one side of the liquidity pool.
okay. So Karma, let me get to my next question because that will clear everything for everybody. And whatever is the AMM is gonna be built on the XRP ledger. I'm not gonna provide liquidity for both. I'm gonna provide liquidity for one. If I have $1,000 XRP, that's what I'm gonna provide. I'm not gonna transfer half of it to USDT. Am
yeah,
I right?
yeah. You can do that.
Okay, but on the other side, how it's gonna be balanced on the other side? Does that make sense? That's the
The
part
other,
that. Oh,
yeah. So the other side usually is that people take this liquidity in some form as a, let's say, loans or whatever, and it's gonna be. I mean, whenever it's like in the real world, whenever you deposit basically cash, right? What does the bank with it? It lends out. So it's the same here, right? And this is why we speak with the AMM usually about DeFi because this is connected to it. But just putting XRP into a pool and it just sits there, does nothing. I mean, obviously this leads to nothing. There's no use case for this. Just to put, you know, so there has to be the opposite part, as you mentioned, who takes out stuff. You know, like in that sense, maybe a loan, or it secures whatever. In some like will not happen hopefully on the XRPL that it secures a stable coin, whatever, you know, these kind of stuff.
I,
Everything happened.
that doesn't
When
have to be stable coin because I like.
no,
What?
it does not have to be stable coin. You
Yeah.
can to
But
put whatever asset.
it seems like you have the same question like me. If I'm gonna put my $1,000 XRP,
Mm-hmm.
where is the other part is gonna? Like, I don't like. Yeah, it's beyond my
I mean, this
comprehension.
is yeah, but this is the other feature that basically is then part of projects that come in and do this, because the AMM itself is just the functionalities. It's just the functions that allow you to utilize it for your business or project, whatever. So when we have it, we will probably see a new wave of what happened with the NFTs on XRPL, projects popping up, they issue tokens, whatever, road, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you will have this again on the XRPL utilizing the AMM. So you will have like a lot of what is it, protocol, quote unquote protocols, but they provide you like with safer returns or not so safe returns with whatever stuff they do, um, maybe even this is just speculation, right? I have no clue. I have no idea. Don't take my word for anything. But maybe even Ripple, steps in and acts as a quote unquote
Yes.
project and says, you know what, if you guys put it in this pool, right? This is our pool. We utilize the AMM. Everyone can use the AMM, whatever. Then we're gonna take whatever, a loan out of it or whatever, and you guys get a percentage in back in yield or something. Probably very very low. So don't expect anything huge because it's a single-sided pool as XRP. Everyone and its grandmother will put stuff in it. So but it's a good step in the right direction with having this functionality, because right now, like, we are very limited with all that stuff. I mean, we have nothing, but not much. Not nothing, but we have not much on the XRPL in that sense.
Well, I think the Egyptian sort of, and I don't have it hasn't clicked yet, so I don't have a full understanding. Just to preface, but I think that the LP token sort of acts as a balancing. There's as a balancing feature. I'm not sure I really like that, but I think that's what it's doing. Um, and then everything's done through the trust lines, and it hadn't fully clicked yet, but I can see how, because see, once you start using issued assets, you're invoking the capability that pathfinding has. So that's your routing functionality. So if you want to find the cheapest path, the cheapest liquidity, then the pathfinding's basically turns into like a public good, in my opinion.
Okay.
Um,
So there is another question. Okay. So
Yeah.
we know we can put XRP on the ledger. We can put other assets, but let's talk about like uh, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever. How could this be added to the XRP ledger where we actually can trade on the?
You would need like bridges or whatever. Like, there's the term with the wrapped assets and everything. But you will not have, like, whoever tells you will not have native Ethereum on XRPL or BTC. It's bullshit.
No, I know that. I know that. But what I'm talking about is is that side chain thing that actually you can add assets to a site? No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Side chains can definitely act as a wrapper, so to speak. I mean, obviously, because you transfer from one chain to the side chain and back and forth. Not really recommended because I mean, it's, as I said, I'm at this stage, I'm not a huge fan of side chains in real world use, because it's highly centralized, right?
Okay.
So the thing is that if you're on a side chain and the federators say, you know what, I don't know, we don't like you, whatever, you're not going anywhere. Then you're not going anywhere if they don't process your transaction. I mean, you're stuck basically there. So I'm not a huge fan right now of this because it's yet not really decentralized in that sense, right? I mean, whatever you understand under decentralized.
Also, it's like you're only as strong as your weakest link. Like if per se, if you're have a side chain that's very important to the main chain at that point, because there's these bridges between the two. Something happens on a side chain that's very serious.
Yeah,
So,
I'm a fan of it for testing purposes, because not right now, if you want to test, it's more like you're on this encapsulated environment, and it's not so easy to transfer back and forth, and like it's not so well, in my opinion. And on a side chain you can test stuff more on a real world environment, and do stuff there. You can test the ridiculous stuff out. You can say, what if we have let's say a reserve of 0 XRP. So basically you can add trust lines and add accounts without a reserve and everything. It's not crazy, in my opinion, but you can test this out, and just basically demonstrate, hey, it works. Whenever that gets added to the main chain is on another page, but you can definitely demonstrate then there, hey, it worked there very well, and you can do this. Therefore, I mean, in my opinion, look, I'm always for highlighting the pros and the cons. I'm not for just looking at the pros and just say, yeah, but the cons, and then try to sweet talk that stuff.
Vet,
But
the issue is you
yeah,
can decide the pros and the cons when you understand everything.
well,
I mean,
yeah, yeah,
we are not at this level yet that we understand
see,
how it's gonna work.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and this would be
for
the
sure.
question, right? So like and it would be as easy as this, right? Per se, I made a token. I named it Bitcoin. I made 21 million of them, right? I could do that right on the XRP ledger, real easy. The thing is how do I make sure that all of the Bitcoin that people already own, right? Because if people have to agree that this is Bitcoin, that's really all it is everybody just has to agree that that's Bitcoin to everybody. Um, all of those people need to be allocated that Bitcoin as well. Then, if you were to do it on a different blockchain, so that's a huge task. And would people be okay with that? Right? I don't think so personally.
Yeah, me
And
me
of
too.
course, you don't have to start with Bitcoin because Bitcoin is kind of expensive. Not a lot of people would actually jump in something like that. They have Bitcoin, but it's like there is a lot of unanswered questions. That's why we cannot really decide what's the pro and what's the cons. The thing is, I know David is smart, and I'm pretty sure he studied whatever DeFi out there. It seems like nobody gets a hang of all of it. What they are trying to do. We'll see. We'll get answers soon. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
I
sure.
mean, it's a tool to develop DeFi applications. That's it. That's it. It's just a tool. That you have these liquidity pools, because without you cannot really do this. We have certain attempts on the ledger right now to mimic kind of DeFi, but it's not that sort of DeFi that we think is DeFi, right? What we used to on Ethereum and whatnot. We have a good feature set. It is definitely a good feature set. We have very good. I mean, the fact that it is implemented on the main ledger, right? That it is native, is a huge, and you have to admit this. This is a huge advantage. I mean, you don't have this on Ethereum. You have all of these islands. You have like Uniswap. You have SushiSwap. You have like MakerDAO. They are all like separate protocols, separate islands, separate liquidities. It's like Ethereum is like basically full of sidechains, if you want to have the analogy. And yeah,
Vet, it will be a dream come true if we can have a DeFi protocol in the XRB ledger. Not because I'm XRB, like not because I'm buying XRB. It's because the speed, the fees. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
if I want to buy another asset, I would love to do it in the XRB ledger because I
yeah,
want something that's so fast and so cheap. Like it would be way way easier.
Well, I mean,
However, yeah, go ahead.
be fair, like the XRP ledger was the first to do DeFi. I mean, because it has the decentralized exchange built into the protocol. technically.
Yeah, the DEX is definitely something you can be
But I know
you can pride off. Yeah,
by like in full on like lending, and I know what you mean, like APY and
yeah, but I
different
yeah
financial products.
There are time, guys, where I wanted to buy uh, an asset, and it exists like in Uniswap or something. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna go buy it. I'm not gonna buy this much fees. I'm not gonna wait for 2 hours waiting for my transaction to go through. If it went through, and if there is something like that, and it's really efficient, really fast, and really cheap, that will be like heaven. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna have its own issues. But I'm just saying, you know.
to cool down a bit, maybe the the expectations. I don't expect this anytime soon. Actually, like they gonna be more concrete at the end of this year or something, and before they start testing, and then like the whole voting and everything, and then updating. I personally think, like, yeah, we are very well if we can get this before 2023, end 2020, like sorry, before 2024. So I expect a good year, definitely a good year and a half, for sure. Because it's software after all. If someone says, yeah, but it's Ripple, blah blah blah, and they do always right bullshit, it's still just software, and they're still humans and whatever. I mean, we see this with XS20. It was just released over a year ago. It was supposed to come out at Apex last year, September. Now we're almost at the next Apex event, September, and there's still no no hope in sight, basically, to say, oh yeah, it's gonna be in the next 1-2 months, because we have no idea. We just yet decided that we're gonna basically clear everything, and not decided. It's not decided. Sorry, I have no idea, but it's basically now considered like, okay, what are we doing now? Because the issue with the pathfinding. So, and it's with every new stuff that you add to the ledger, XS20, automated market maker, whatever comes then next after, you always have to consider like that the previous stuff works still well, is compatible with the stuff that he wants to add. So yeah, just so you have enough time, you have really enough time to understand this perfectly.
You're talking about the AMM, right?
I talk about the AMM, yeah.
Yeah, at least 7 to 8 to 9 months. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Honestly, I'm starting to debate if we're even going to get XLS20 this year.
Yeah,
Sorry.
100%.
I
So
know it probably doesn't make people happy, but
yeah. No, at this point, see, I was previously I was like, yeah, I mean, it has to be like, it's around the corner and everything, I mean, we're waiting here since October last year of for XS20, and now the more you talk with the people and the more you see the what are the issues and everything going on, yeah, it definitely will take time. I mean, it depends on how they're gonna fix the issue. Like, it could come sooner than expected, but I'm more on the camp, be more pessimistic and say, we are good if it comes this year. Yeah.
we can hope at least. But yeah.
So
I mean,
you said
yeah.
something about selling an NFT, and I was like, oh, I never checked to see if that NFT sold. So forgive me for my noviceness, but
You can go on Rarible.
do you have to accept a transaction on Rarible, or does that make sense? Because it's asking me for a
Put it up for
signature.
sale. No, you wouldn't have to accept it. Somebody just has to make a purchase. You already paid the gas fee to have it listed. Then, if it's up listed,
Yeah. So, someone can give you a lower offer that you have to accept actively if someone gives you a lower offer.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It says, what does it say? Looks like you canceled signing the authentication message with your provider. Whatever the fuck. Dude, why can't, dude, I'm telling you, man.
Karma.
I don't have these kind of issues with XRP Ledger. You just send the
I'll
fucking
pay
transaction.
$5 to get rid of your NFT. I'll buy it from you. Okay.
Well, I don't really care. I'm just like, I mean, I don't want it. I gotta get out of. I don't want any ETH. I don't think good things are coming for ETH. honestly.
I didn't even touch ETH from like a year and a half or something. I do not like to deal with it. It's horrible.
The
Well,
issue is
this has been a interesting experience. I'll just put it that way. So my mom said, if you don't have something good to say, just say it was interesting.
yeah. I mean, there are certain pros and cons. You know, like for example, on Ethereum, you don't have the
No,
trust
bro.
line thing.
No, bros. No, bros. No.
You have no trust lines, right?
You will never convince me that there is, bro. The thing is, it makes me know that I'm not patient. Like there is a lot of patient people out there. I cannot wait 2 hours or 3 hours, and I cannot pay $100, for a transaction. It doesn't matter if it's $1,000 transaction or $10,000. I don't want to pay $100 for it.
It's gonna cost me $1,000 no matter what because I'll snap my phone waiting too long.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, but I mean, it's not.
Listen. So what I can do right now? No, I'm not joking. Like if I want to transfer money to Egypt, if I want to wire money to Egypt to my mom, I will pay $40. It doesn't matter how much is it. Okay, so if I'm gonna do a transaction in Ethereum, okay, if it's more than $40, there is no freaking way I will do it. You know, it's
Right now, fees are very, very low. Actually, like really low. I think it's 90 cents or something, or $1, like depending on when you send and everything.
yeah, because
Issue is with Ethereum as when sorry.
That's probably because nobody's doing anything.
Yeah. This is the issue. Like with Ethereum, like if not many people are using it, then you're very much good to go with the fees. But then duh, right? But but when many people are using it, then yeah, it's garbage.
So it's funny he just dropped out. I had a conversation with the scams guy the other day about Lightning and payment channels, and he just refused to answer the question because he didn't want to anyway. But I was like, okay, well, let me go do a little more research on this Lightning and make sure I understand it a little better. So the most interesting thing I found was basically what Lightning does is it enables you to do rippling for Bitcoin, right? Like you have all these connections; those are like trust lines. It's all the same architecture. So it enables rippling for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And it's got the fees, the quality in out. It's got some of those components. I don't think they work exactly the same, but yeah.
In my opinion, the only thing, like, if I would say, but probably this needs more stuff, like not more stuff, but in event to trigger it. But what I would wish that more bigger companies enter the XRPL and build kind of their own, developer community and everything. So we are not basically with always, basic the same people who propose stuff or who point out issues and everything. But this probably needs just time, I think. And I personally think.
To
Sorry.
some degree, Vet, this is honestly one of the things we're trying to, one of the nuts we're trying to crack with ledgerscale. The fact is, there's just not that many people out there that really know this stuff. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
I don't know what you would guess. I have a pretty low number. That I'm talking people that really know. And the thing is, you got to know the multiple. I mean, I've said this many times, but you have to know not just one body of knowledge. You got to know multiple, and that's where you reduce the number of people by exponential. Because you're gonna have some people that know this and they know that, but they don't know the full picture, right?
I mean, I'm gonna say it, and I think I'm not too far off with this assumption. It's the same that brought people into Bitcoin. It's the same that brought people into Ethereum, right? it's price action. I mean, as simple and it sounds or whatever. Like yeah, there it comes, right? The greedy financial motivation. But I think with price action, like if we just let's say if we would have now XRP in a jumping to whatever $5, $10, and kind of plateauing there, you bet, right? All these Twitter spaces and the forums and the discourse would be full with people and people who come in and want to build applications because they see, oh man, there's so many people in here. If I build now an application or a business, then I can milk all this attention and people coming in here in a positive way, right? Um, so I think personally, whenever we see this kind of action, then we will truly get this masses in there. Meanwhile, I mean, you cannot just wait for until the price explodes or whatever to get the attention of all the other blockchains and Ethereum, whatever, that they finally start thinking, because a shitcoin or a shit blockchain is only a shit coin or shit blockchain as long as the price is for these people is like on a lower point, right? If you have like, right, I think $3, $4, $5, no, $3 or $3.50 XRP would flip Ethereum now. Have this like in 2017 for a longer extended period, and you have less people who would probably say, oh, Ethereum is superior or whatever, and XRP is a shitcoin. It's just a different mentality. But in my opinion, meanwhile, we can very much, like everyone can do this, to bring more people that already are in the XRP community, but they are not so much engaged with the actual ledger or like with all the stuff that is right now happening. They think basically the XRPL has just XRP and it's just only intended for payments, right? And that's it. And there's no other business building on the XRPL, only Ripple. If we get these people in, because these people already have a positive attitude towards the XRP ledger, this I think is a huge benefit, because I think that not many people are. I mean, you see it in this room and in other communities, it's always the same people, mostly. So if we can get more of the people who are already XRP holders, right, in there and understand all this stuff that's happening there, I think we would have already a huge boom, right, with the community.
Well, I think we need to grow the community, honestly. I mean, that's kind of a big part of the ledger scale. We've been talking, and we're going to have to do, I think, some more. I like the more sophisticated, talk about pathfinding and stuff like that. But I mean, we need to do some stuff around like just what's a wallet, right?
I mean,
Like,
you said this with pathfinding, for example, or even trust lines. Right now, this seems like so geeky, and if you know how to do this, it's like you're already a wizard. If you talk this to other normal XRP holders, but it shouldn't be like. It should be like a very normal thing to do, and it's common knowledge. And yeah, I hope definitely that ledger scale can contribute to this, to bring this more into the heads of the people.
well, yeah, that's kind of the goal. I'm going to kind of change the subject a little bit. I threw up Vitzi's tweet about somebody's using the hooks. Somebody from the community. I don't know this guy, but yeah, it looks like he used the hooks builder. I might have to go check that out. Maybe if it's dumb enough, maybe I can use it. Looks like he did like a spam blocker type thing, if I'm reading this right. I mean, I haven't looked at the code or anything. I just think it's exciting to see hooks coming. I mean, I knew that as soon as they got the builder and made it easier for you don't have to be like what's that term? Where you actually are programmed, not like the machine level or something. I don't know, man. But you don't have to be super programmer. Like you can just do more scripting. And so they just came out with that a couple days ago, and looks like people are already building stuff, which is great.
That's cool, man. Very, very cool. Yeah, I've read the stuff that he wrote. Yeah, very, very cool. Apparently, also a very smart guy here. He did some good uh, case treatment with excluding IOUs and all that stuff. Cool. And we have lots of these people. Like they're not out in the public. You don't see them always out and about, but they're building. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's great.
One thing too, we right because we are in America and Europe. I mean, Asia is a very large continent, and there's a lot of stuff going on being built that utilizes the XRP ledger over there, particularly Japan.
Yeah, but Death Ranger, do you know like which country, in my opinion, is already so good with the XRPL?
Singapore,
No, it's actually the Philippines.
Philippines, yeah.
Yeah. With the trust line farming and everything, but I mean, you can say what you want, but like XRP is in the Philippines like known, very, very well known. So
That's interesting.
pretty cool. Yeah. I think we even said, don't quote me on anything, but if you dig, maybe you find something. But I think it's from percentage wise, the population who most of them know XRP. Like I think 80%. I don't know, but 50, 60, 70% know XRP.
You know what's funny is I kind of fell into the Filipino community here in my town. So I don't know, a good portion of the people I know, they're all from the Philippines. And actually, the one guy I know who knows about crypto is from the Philippines. Like nobody else around here has a clue. And I was trying to. I think what was it, Send Friend? But I don't think it ever really got up and going. They were supposed to be like a liquidity provider into the Philippines through the XRP ledger. Do you know about that one? I think it was Send Friend. Because I told all of the Filipino, because they send money home, right? Like it's classic remittance.
What's up, Gus?
Hey, are you talking about Asimo? Karma?
No, I think the company's name was Send Friend.
Could
Pretty
be.
sure that's what it was.
What's up, Death?
But I think they like never really got fully going or something, and because I told them about it and they were like, "Oh yeah," because obviously I told them about XRP and they're all into it and stuff, and then and I was like, "Yeah, you send money home, you can use the XRP, you can do it like that through this service," and then I don't think the service ever went live or anything. Because then they were asking me about it, and I was like, "Well, I don't know. Let me check the site. I haven't looked it up in a while."
Yeah, what's interesting is that, as a GDP for the Philippines, I believe it's got one of the highest GDPs for remittances. So when people remit from, say, Saudi Arabia to the Philippines, what they send, like, a couple $100 to their families and stuff. So that GDP that the country gets, man, I think it's above 30% of their economy is through remittances, which is
Really?
massive, or something ridiculous. I'm throwing out a number in there, but I could have sworn it was around 30% of the entire country's GDP when last time I read it. I'll research it further, but something ridiculous as a number goes towards, because people are sending back money. Yeah, because one of the main exports of the Philippines is the expatriate worker, right? So they'll send all these expatriate workers, especially nursing in the U.S. is big. That's a lot of the nurses that come or educated in the Philippines. Remember, we had a shortage of nurses maybe about 10, 15 years ago. So they had a program where they would just get these nurses that would graduate in the Philippines and then repatriate them into the U.S. for the nursing.
I can't believe 30% sounds huge. I mean, that's massive.
Yeah, I'll look it up right now. When I read it, it was massive. It was like, what? Let me look it up to give you a proper number.
I mean, at that point, you're essentially dependent, right? I mean, say you've got 10% from, some source, you could lop off 10%, you'll survive. But 30%, dude, that's a third. Lop off a third, you're going to be hurting.
Hey guys,
What's up, Huge Green Candle?
not much. I'm listening to your conversation here and enlightening as usual. So I've tried to get my friends interested in the XRPL crypto. Most of the people in my real life aren't interested. That's fine. I'm not going to tell people where to put their money, especially since, I'm not proving any results myself. But I want to create some kind of value using the XRPL. Even it's kind of funny. That's my chosen one of them, right? I have other Songbird and stuff like that, and other cryptos as well. But I try and think about how I can make an app or what I can do to add value to the ledger. And for me, I think the NFTs might be an opening. But I'm looking at different projects like Celestial Samurais, the Fat Cats, Songbird, or the S Toads, uh, Cosmic Bombers, a number of projects that I'm supporting. And I'm trying to look at them all and see, oh, of course, the oracles. So I'm looking at how they're all providing or trying to provide value to their communities. So it's a matter of time before I try and figure it out, or before I get it figured out. But I appreciate all you guys' help, and it's good to come into these spaces and be inspired by creators. Um, you know, it's pretty cool. Like Quincy, I think I've seen some of you guys in Quincy's chats, or I've seen Quincy's in spaces. He's pretty
Yeah,
inspirational.
he's good. He's
So
good.
some of these people, like I'd like to delve more into the coding side, but I don't think that might not be my forte, right? Um, not like I'm bad at math, but I've done some installing programs on Raspberry Pis and stuff like that, but not coding.
Dude, I used a Raspberry Pi for many years as a wallet. That was my it's never, it's cold storage, right? It's never been connected to the internet.
Well, I can actually follow tutorials that I see, but then you got to trust the tutorials, right? And people do tutorials, people make mistakes, and you end up hosing a system or something like that, um, losing critical data. So I can imagine if you're creating something that has, financial value. Um, I'm looking at some of these
Well, it's more
projects.
it's more about being able to just sign transactions offline. Like that's the key. That's the main reason. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but yeah, you got to be able to sign transactions offline.
Karma, it's 9.66 of GDP, which is 10%. That's the consensus
Uh,
in 2020.
I mean, 10% is significant.
It's still massive,
Um,
yeah.
I mean, you're gonna feel if you cut off 10%, you're gonna feel it. But if you cut off 30%, you're just probably mortal.
Yeah,
Like,
it's ridiculous. The number is ridiculous, man. That means like billions, man.
Well, I mean, take it. Think about it this way. Let's say that 10% has a 10% cost, just for round math. Okay, so 1% of their economy goes to remittance fees. Now, take that 1% and shrink it by 10x. Okay, now what is it? 0.01% goes to remittance fees. Did I get the math right there? And that's a ton of money back into their economy. Like, for really not basically doing anything except not wasting fees, or not, it's basically a troll, right? Like, the troll wants the fee for you to cross the bridge. So, you just kind of kick the troll off the bridge and you're like, here's a nickel, and then I'm going to cross. Like, I'm not giving you $5. Maybe that sounds silly, but that's basically how I think things will unfold. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right, man. I mean, even if you start to look at places like India as well, that's starting to integrate with, XRP or XRPL, that's massive. These are massive countries that rely on these remittances. I mean, if I just looked at the numbers for the 2020 census for the Philippines, that's 361 billion. That means 3 billion is of the economy is just based on people sending money to the country, right? I haven't looked at numbers in India and all these other countries, man, but this stuff is life changing. Yeah, that 10%
So
fee on transactions. Yeah.
run down the numbers. If it's 3 billion, then that means 10%, 300 million. Okay, if you can, that's fees currently.
How many? Wait a minute, 1,000? No, that's 300 million. Okay.
So you take that and you 10x make it cheaper. So now you got what, a $30 million industry. That's $270 million that go back into the economy.
Yeah, it's massive.
But that's a lot of money, man. And you do that repeatedly, year after year after year after year. That's a lot of value creation. I mean, you got a cash flow stream there to the economy. Like, it's not necessarily going to any single individual, it's going to a whole bunch, right? It's remittance. But still, dude, that's a big economic boost. That's a, you know, that's material, as they would say in accounting.
Sorry to interrupt you, Yuj. So you were saying you were thinking about creating some sort of application to contribute to the XRPL. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'd love to add some value to the XRPL, but it is daunting task to think about a specific project, right? I'm not specifically artistically inclined. I can do numerous different, mediums, but beauty is in the eye of the beer holder, right? What I think is could be good is totally could be garbage, right? I'm not really. Art is such a subjective thing, and placing value on any project that goes out there, that you have to start somewhere. But it's
Agreed. I think when I listen to the BSV community, at least the builders, there's significant building that's happening in that community through tools like Relay X and Twitch. And what's interesting about that sort of from the ground up sort of building are people are starting to think what kind of businesses may require this. Yeah, they'll start off with an NFT project as an example, right? And I'll just tell you a quick example. They started off in a number of NFT projects, but recently they did an NFT project that ties to a sweater being sent to you, a physical good that gives you some sort of NFT value as well. That's tagged with that NFT tag, right, or hash. Um, so what's interesting is that people are starting to think about this. How do I integrate sort of this NFT, not just from an art appreciation standpoint, where I can collect these NFTs and sell for the future, but maybe start to think about and how can I create these NFTs that means something in the real world value, right? They've done stuff like concert tickets
Exactly.
or access to articles, right? They'll sell an NFT and now you have access to the article I'm going to be writing about this project, right? That's interesting because then if these real world projects, you know people hold value in these real world stuff. So if you can tie those NFTs accordingly, I think you got something versus just the art.
Well, a couple of the projects, or one of the projects in particular, the XRP Bull and the XRP Bear, they were on Best FTSO by Johnny Lawrence. I got that as an NFT just because I like the NFT. It have movement and motion to it, and they're just beautiful pictures that this guy makes. So I bought the NFT, and then I joined a Discord, and then later on I found out that that NFT enabled me to an airdrop of a print size, an A1 print of those pictures. And I was like, sweet. So I had no intention of selling the NFT to flip it or anything like that. I just bought one that I was going to collect, and I upsized, the print size because you had that option to get a bigger print, and I like that utility. What I'm trying to do, or what I would like to do, is somehow utilize this
Hey,
this
sorry. Did
space.
you pay for the print or was it free?
I paid for the upsize of the print and the shipping, and
Oh,
I received it, and it came from Barcelona, and it's beautiful, and I've yet to get it framed. But when I get it framed, I'll do it justice and do it right. They're art pieces, and I could, if we're out somewhere at a cafe or a beer, having a beer, I could show you that NFT on my phone, or I could display it in my dojo and on Spatial once I get that all set up. There's lots of really cool ways to interact. I would just like to earn an income through this space somehow, rather than just buying and investing in projects. I'd like to be a creator, but I'm having a hard time figuring out what I'm going to create. Hey DM, I love the oracles there. Can't wait to see how this develops too. Right, I like watching and participating in these evolving, uh, projects. It's great. It's amazing. There's so many good ones out there.
Well, let
You
me
know,
ask. I mean, it sounds like you're into art. Is that what you're into, or like what's your Because essentially these are just accounting tools, right? So whatever it is you're into, I'm sure it needs to be accounted.
honestly, Karma, I really love gardening. I like kite surfing. I like I'd like to do something socially impactful, like uh, something that's beyond me. Like I don't know, but it's hard to figure out what that might be. But I am hanging out in these spaces, and the more I listen to different people and hear different thoughts, uh, it's helping me kind of figure out where that might go. So that's why I appreciate hanging out with you guys.
I mean, I want to do the kite surfing. I had a chance to, and I didn't. My cousin brought his rig up.
You
Um,
still can, man, and that's why we met, Karma. I'm supposed to inspire you to go kite surfing, and you're supposed to inspire me to delve deeper into the XRPL. So there's our mutual
well,
connection. There's our mutual connection, and there's one for everybody in this room.
yeah.
And
Think about this. You could. Okay. Oh, I hate the advertising revenue model, but you could have a QR code on a kite, right? And so now you have a pro kite boarder, and they're busting like some 30-foot air. Boom, you snap a picture, and there's the QR code. And then, I don't know, you attach that to some sort of marketing something or
well,
another.
Karma, actually, I do live in a place where we have a local kiteboarding company that makes, kites and ships them around the world. I always support local products and companies wherever I can, and to actually have one that's building this awesome equipment that I use, that's that I like, right? Um, Now I was thinking about approaching the company and saying, look at how about this? You can have different kites out there, And if you pumped one up, set it up, took a picture of it in a 3D manner, and then that person who bought that kite could actually have a QR code that could actually, I don't know, I hear about updatable databases. So, if you're able to update ownership, I guess you could just update ownership by when you sell it. But
Well, that's basically what blockchain does. Blockchain, think of like real estate with chain of title. The term chain in blockchain is basically chain of title. It's that concept.
So imagine though, if you had a 3D image of that product or whatever it might be, that car, and a person could have that and then place it virtually, say on a 1-for-1 scale, into a real world. So if you could scan a house, and you're putting that there. I don't know. I think that's maybe people will have two ownerships: a virtual ownership and a physical ownership. So the things that you own, you might be able to bring them into a virtual world and have it there, and somebody could come to your virtual house if they wanted to. I don't know if that's. I don't think I want to spend a lot of time in a virtual world, but I think the possibilities for interacting for short periods of time with people around the globe in a space that, say, I created or helped build is attractive. Just trying to see how these different projects play out. I'm not a developer
Hey,
or a designer.
Put the QR code. Put the QR code on the bottom of the board, right? Because then you got to be way up high in order for anybody to get a picture of it.
Yeah, or doing a dark slide or something. No, you got it. You got a kiteboard. Go do it, Karma. Go find a place. I know you can, and just take a lesson. It's costly, but they'll show you how to do it. And with 3 days of doing it, you'll be up and running, and it'll change your life. So that's my, thought for you. Go for it.
Well, the cool thing about kiteboarding is you can go surfing when there's light wind, but it sucks when it's windy. So when it's windy, though, it's good for kiteboarding.
I remember.
I've just never really done it.
I remember one session at Long Beach. I was with a bunch of buddies. We went up there, did a road trip, and we all kited there. It was wicked wind, 25, 30 knots that day. And there was a surfing competition there that was that weekend, but they're all sitting in the water. They really couldn't go because it just wasn't. They were waiting for us. But I remember we were coming down this big wall of water, and I kited by these surfers, and the one guy's looking at me. It was like, yeah, they were wishing they could be on the kite. But yeah, go for it. Go for it. Take a lesson. You'll love it.
Okay, what's happened with Rebel? 2 attorneys. Okay,
You saw what I posted up top. Yeah, so they just brought 2 new attorneys to the Ripple team.
what are their specialty?
I have not seen it yet, but I'm gonna
Kellogg's
assume settlement, right? It only would make sense.
I see some big, huge green candles here. They're coming.
Huge green candles. There you go. And I just, we're halfway through. We typically do 2 hours, so I just wanted to thank everybody who shows up to these, and for everybody who comes and speaks. And we wouldn't be doing these if everybody didn't find them valuable. And I always just like to post in the middle that we do these on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. And on Wednesday, we host a specific 5 to 6 Eastern Standard Time space, which tomorrow will be, we're going to have 2 guys in the derivatives market who will be speaking about a product that they're building. And if you could also at the bottom right give a retweet of the space so we could bring more attention, get more people in here who maybe have questions, just like everybody else. And if you would like to come up, please feel free to hit the request to speak at the bottom left.
Yeah, I think most people know it's an open forum. If you haven't, you can actually follow us on YouTube. We double stream it over there. If you're on YouTube and you want to participate, jump over to Twitter. We're at ledgerscale. And this is an all volunteer effort. So we're running as a nonprofit. And if you'd like to support us, there's some crypto accounts at the moment. We're working on other stuff. And then, yeah, you don't want to miss tomorrow. It should be fun. It should be real fun. These guys are, I think, have a real innovation. I've thought about and done some thinking, some derivatives innovation stuff with XRP Ledger and crypto, but I like these guys' approach is different, and it's I think it's really cool. It's sound. The math checks out as far as I can tell, and yeah, you don't want to miss tomorrow. Or if you do miss it, then at least listen to it.
Now that we changed the subject, what were we just talking about, Huge Green Candle? Oh, we were talking about the Ripple lawyers. Let me look their names up right now, and I will double check.
Kylie looks like a good attorney. I'm really impressed with her. But anyway,
I'm just watching the 15-minute chart, and I see this beautiful little cup and handle forming here, and it seems like we might break past 33 cents finally. I don't know. It looks like it wants to.
I prefer it to go the opposite direction, but it's whatever.
Yeah, either way, I'm happy to, Death, but I kind of wanted to do something here.
Oh, geez. I didn't even realize I was unmuted there. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think I just want to see something dramatic happen here. We've been doing this sideways action for a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to get too distracted with price stuff. If the lawyers have changed, that's material information.
Well, they've just added two different lawyers, it looks like, to the team.
They replaced, not added. Is that correct? I think they replaced.
A filed motion. No, it just says filed motion to be admitted to represent Ripple.
Okay. 1 second. If you look at the comments, there is this guy. His name Fred Risboli.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, he said what. There are two just associates handling groundwork for other associate that left, as well as adding dips. So,
yeah,
if there's people that left, then I think there's two questions to ask. And did I understand that right before I continue?
You know what it was? It's like they're the attorneys that, like, when you need somebody to go get you a coffee, and just hire anybody. Yeah, coffee, like a lawyer to work for your law firm. That's kind of
it's not coffee. It's kind of like do the dirty work, like go get document, go research.
Yeah, exactly. They're brand new. One of them is brand new. The other one is experience, which is way too low to be in this case. Yeah.
Dude, if I was a junior attorney in this case, I'd be trembling in my boots.
Yeah, but that's cool because you know what? This for them, somebody being brand new and somebody also who's only in there for.
I was about to say that.
That's a name. They get their name on it.
Yes.
Well, okay.
If that's the case of the century, you know what I mean, and Ripple won it, and you have your name as a part of the case, it's kind of like good for your resume,
Oh yeah. You're set for life. Like, imagine being attached to this case. This is going to be the financial story. They're going to talk about this in schools. It's insane.
Oh, I've said for years that, how if you go to Harvard, what do they call it? The not mortgage-backed security. What do you call the masters and MBAs? If you do like an MBA there, you don't really read, formulas and stuff. It's all case study. I guarantee you, I've been saying this for years, I guarantee you that Ripple is going to be a case study that's taught there for the next 20 years. Like the strategy that these guys have executed, I'm not sure a lot of people really fully appreciate, like the level of
yeah, and we haven't seen it out. We haven't seen the finish of it yet, too, right? So this is quite interesting to be right in the middle of it and actually being invested in it. But I find it fascinating that this stuff has actually occurred. I'm appalled, but yet I'm not surprised with corruption. But I am appalled with how we are digging it up, and these informations have to be brought to court through the judicial system. They can't just, hey, look what we found on Twitter. We found this guy doing this. I guess it doesn't work like that. Even though we're all stomping our feet, going, "Let's get this shit over with," right?
Well, I've actually, quite honestly, been shocked at how much the XRP community has. I mean, holy moly! I didn't think any. I had no idea about any of the stuff these people have dug up over the last year or two, I guess, year or so, whatever. Geez.
It's all about those emails. It's all about those emails. We need those emails.
Well, at some point, the judge has to make a decision, right? I mean, I don't know if she has an actual
this week
timeline.
Is that correct?
What'd you say?
I don't know. I don't know if there's a real timeline. I don't know if the judges have a deadline. Like, I don't know.
I heard Jeremy saying it should be this week. Not read.
That'll
No.
tell us a lot what's happening. I think that'll tell us a lot what's happening.
No, she's going to have a ruling on the SEC, on the Ripple's motion to strike down the appeal the strike down the SEC's reasoning for why they what's the word when you can't see the form but they give you the form?
Attorney-client redacting.
Redacted meth. Yeah, exactly. So you know how the judge told them to hand over the emails. They were like, sure, but we're going to redact everything. And she's like, no. And then they're like, oh, well, we think we should redact everything. And then Ripple's lawyers fired a form saying this is ridiculous, right? Like, how are they asking to have things redacted? This is like the 8th time that we've asked for these forms.
And they didn't lead with the attorney-client privilege, which would be the stronger defense. Which is, if they thought it was a slam dunk, they would have led with that. So they're desperate to have these emails not out there, or not fully, released. I guess
attorney-client privilege doesn't make any sense when you are the head of the financial department of the SEC. I don't really understand how you're a client of theirs.
That's yeah. I know this is far-fetched, and it's certainly not real, and I have no evidence of anything. But I mean, imagine if in one of these emails it just has like Hinman saying, "Oh yeah, XRP doesn't look like a security to me." Like what are they hiding? This has just gone so far beyond the pale.
Well, I believe the judge is aware of all this stuff, right? So, she's ordered the emails like 4 times, 3 times, whatever it is. So it's just they're playing the game and dragging it out. That's all. But you can't deny the inevitable. I think that she's getting tired of it, and this is their last straw, the ACP. So if it's denied, then game over. They're going to have to come to the table with a serious offer. Otherwise, they're going to lose the case.
So in finance, you have time. You're measuring the value of time. That's what the formula does. And, the longer they can delay, the only people I can think of that benefit, well, I guess maybe 2. You could be benefiting the incumbent correspondent money center banks, right? Because they can hold a competitor off for a little while. And time is valuable, right? They dominate the market right now. They still dominate the market, and they're going to continue to dominate the market, and they're not going to face competition until regulations are around.
Well, the train has left the station, right?
Yeah, I saw that. And then the other people that sort of quasi benefit would be maybe Congress. Like it's given them some time to make. It's almost given them a deadline, quite honestly, to make rules, because the courts do have deadlines, and like I don't know what the judge's deadline is for making a ruling, but the court system has, I mean, they've already said there's some sort of deadline in November where they have to, like, you know, wrap it up and make your final argument kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, the courts are not going to, so, you know, now Congress is, but this has bought Congress some time, but I think it actually, now that I say that, it kind of has given Congress a deadline.
Well, you got the executive order that's going to be needing some answers here in a couple months for, you know.
There's that as well. I mean, this stuff's happening. I know it's like a slow grinding, but what's that Bob Marley song? Something, it might grind slow, but it grinds fine. I mean, the legal system is sort of like that. It's yeah, these aren't the quickest people in the world, but you know, they do get down to the fine grained details of stuff, and it's important to do that.
Yeah, no, I'm enjoying the ride, but I think that the builders, the people that like are building on the XRP ledger and these projects that are utilizing XRP brings value to it, and it's global. And I don't believe the United States wants to miss out on that.
Oh, I don't know if you saw my video I did with Erie on this, but yeah, dude, this is I'm not, you know, Mr. Patriot. I don't wear like an American flag cape and run around or anything. But you know, I live in America, and my life is denominated in dollars, and I obviously want to see a strong America. I want to see my neighbors do well, you know. Um, and I think we, as from a systemic level, like from a country level, are being completely retarded. We've got one saving grace, which is that we are so dominant that if we do finally, you know, get our stuff regulate, like get the regulations figured out, and get enable people to, you know, not force them to leave the country, basically, and still be able to start companies, then I think a lot that it's almost like breaking the dam. But at this point, a lot of companies have already left. I mean, the guys tomorrow are not US based. I mean, it's just the reality of it.
Oh, I didn't.
Not that they didn't want to be US based, but they can't be. It's a I mean, it's like, this isn't like a joke. I mean, you're not. They've got a real business innovation. They're creating value. They it's like a financial engineering thing. Peter's the guy that really came up with the idea. And yeah, they get to leave the country. So, I mean, it's not like a joke. It's not theoretical. It's not just a talking point. I mean, yeah, out you go.
Well,
Seriously.
yeah, Brad's pretty brutal the way he says it too, right? He's like, when I tell new companies or tell people that approach me, it's like run far away, run fast, right? It's sad to be having innovation pushed off your shores. You know, I see the same thing in Canada, but I've seen it on a different level for a long time. You know, we export our natural resources and then buy back these finished resources when we could be employing more people doing the, you know, the secondary industry rather than just the primary, right?
Yeah, we don't have those. We don't have those factories built. The refineries, all the products. Yeah, we don't have it here.
Now, is it because we don't want to do those jobs, or it's because of free trade agreements that, you know, what is it? We want to ship our pollution offshores instead? I don't know. Is it cheaper labor elsewhere?
Correct. It's cheaper. It was cheaper to ship it and then bring it back.
Yeah, and then along with it, though, the decent paying jobs for the average person, right? well, we get our products cheaper, you know, but I'd be willing to pay a little bit more of a premium for supporting my own economy.
Hey family, what's going on? Death Ranger, Karma, Huge Green Candle, Masri, Fed, everyone.
What's up, Albert?
How you? I hope you're good, guys.
Mostly. Okay.
Have anything you'd like to talk about? Any questions?
Honestly, I'm just sitting tight for. I think it's 11th of July when the observation mode when Flare launches. I hope. I think so. I think I have it right.
Correct.
But
Yes. So I don't know if I'd call it as observation mode for us. For them, for the node structure, it's Flare. Flare is launching, and so over the course of the next 8 weeks, the node structure of the network becomes decentralized. Or they're saying it's at least a sufficient 64% decentralization after all the nodes are said and done. And so, other than that, other than making sure all the nodes are up and running, everybody wants to just make sure the network is up and running and everything is good, like the RPCs and before any token distribution.
perfect. I knew this was the place to ask it. Do you, Dev? Do you know, brother? If so, with Songbird we can delegate it. It will be the same, right? With Flare, we can delegate to an FTSO and then also get
Yeah,
Flare
yeah.
reward.
So they're starting off the network with a little bit of differences too. So the FTSO for the delegations won't be 7-day epochs. So instead of a 1 week cycle, there's actually going to be 2 cycles inside of 1 week. So it's going to be like every 3 days or something like that. And so it'll have to be a day you leave it wrapped up. Then the delegation rewards would last for I think either 2 days, and then you would have to then wrap it up again. Have it locked in the FTSO, delegate it to the FTSO you want, vice versa, and then you'd be able to do whatever you want. So it's going to be a different dynamic cycle right off the bat. But yeah, you will be able to delegate. I'm sure once the tokens are distributed and all the FTSOs are ready. I'm sure they won't probably do out the token distribution until they are ready.
Beautiful, bro. I'm so grateful for your knowledge. Last time you also come in my space and the amount of knowledge, bro. Thank you, bro. Grateful for you being here.
That's what I'm here for. Thank you. I'm excited. It's close. I'm more excited, honestly, for Songbird because, the state connector has been running on Songbird for over a month now. So really, we're only waiting for the SSF protocol to go live, and I mean, we should have the same functions as Flare, and more of an ecosystem already built out.
Yeah, I'm excited for the F assets. That's going to be big. Nobody's done well. Yeah, and I mean nobody's really done that before. Not like this anyway.
Yeah, not in the way that they're doing it. Correct. Yeah. With the state connector and the layer cake protocol, and anybody being able to act as an agent, or they call it a I forgot. They have their own word.
Federator?
No, they don't call it a federator.
Agent, connector, market maker, liquidity provider.
No, it's a fancier word. Hold on, let me go look it up.
Oh, they went fancy on us, huh? I love all this terminology. It's so kind of comical.
Yeah, can't wait, man. It's yeah, because I've
Attestation provider. That's what it was. It clicked in my head.
What was it?
Attestation provider.
Oh, attestation. Okay. I can see that. Okay, that works too, I guess. We'll add that to the list.
Exactly. It's just a different word that means the same thing.
Well, that's how industry players do things. We compartmentalize by providing specific terminology of varying forms of the same thing. You know, everybody wants to make their own mark on this, so it gets confusing to anybody but a specialist.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll probably actually, Death, that might be a good kind of topic to make a video on, right? To show the commonality between the functions that these various terms are referring to.
Yeah, I think terminology is a huge one. I think that's probably one of the largest barriers to almost any, and that's like any new ecosystem or any new like industry that you want to get into. There's just a ton of terminology, and I think it's always created that way for two things. One, A, to keep people who don't know what they're talking about out, so that you have to know what you're talking about to kind of try and get in. Um, that's just like, I feel like that's like any industry. And two, it takes a long time for people to be able to learn this stuff, and so most people just always steer away. And I think that's also another reason why people stay out of certain industries. But yeah, terminology is such an important thing, because you start hearing all these three-letter acronyms and you don't even know what's going on.
Well, I mean, and just like think about the terms blockchain, distributed ledger, and network. Okay, those can all mean the same thing, but like that's not really apparent to, like, it's not really obvious. Anyway, yeah, maybe we should do like a series on that. Terminology.
So we
Where
do
are they similar?
like a blockchain Bible.
Well, I don't know about a Bible, but we're doing educational content. So I wanted to talk about more complicated stuff. But I'm realizing we got to start with the basics.
Yeah, I feel what you because it's sometimes for the new people. I've also met a new friend, and I had to explain what's sex, what's dex, what's this, what's that. So yeah, you have to maneuver.
Yep, there's quite a lot. There really is quite a lot. I was speaking to somebody the other day, and they were saying that for the longest time, uh, they had a friend that said that wallets were dangerous, and that wallets were made to steal people's crypto, and that on the opposite end, they trusted the exchange, which was Voyager, which they now could not get their stuff out of anymore, or it might have been Celsius. So it was like, there's so much in misinformation. Like when you can't find on the internet that a wallet is like the safer alternate route, we need a better way to get people this information.
Well, look at let's go all the way back to Mount Gox. Everybody loves this decentralized network, right? And then they use the centralized exchange. It crashes. Goodbye, Bitcoin. You lost all your assets. And then, I mean, it's not only. I've always been critical about this. You're taking a decentralized network and you're running it through because it doesn't have the functionality set. Essentially, if it had a DEX, then this wouldn't be an issue, but it doesn't and it can't, so it is an issue. Um, that's why there's all these exchanges. They have to make up for the functionality set that's missing, right? They got to perform that functionality. And so you run all this, everything's decentralized, and then but you run it through a centralized exchange, and it's not even like friggin' I mean, the people already got burned on this. So from Mount Gox. So here we are years later, and everybody's still singing the same song, and it's almost unbelievable. Like,
I
Well,
was
even
really?
the airdrops, though, non-custodial wallets and airdrops. I thought we learned that back then too, but not so much, right? People are still complaining. You gotta keep it yourself, and that's the best way to do it.
When I went and talked to the senator's guy, he finally he was like, okay, what do you want? Right? Like he was done with the conversation. And I was like, well, make some friggin' laws and protect self custody. And you wouldn't have lost in Mount Gox if you were self custody. But all these people want all this decentralization. At least that's how they talk. I don't think they really do in a lot of cases. And they, because their actions speak louder than words, they go use a centralized exchange.
Karma, I was thinking the exact same things just like a day ago. I was also thinking about anti-gox, exactly that, exactly. And also Vint, he made like a tweet. I think it was today. Like it was, it was funny that he was saying like, Zoom is boring, but it's safe. There's no crazy magic internet money. There's no crazy things going on, no crazy yields, but it's safe. So I don't know if I can find the tweet.
No, I know what you're talking about. I mean, a while back, I tweeted one time somebody was talking about one of these apps and it screwed up. And I was like, dude, like the Sun wallet just works. I'm not promoting some in any way, shape, or form. Um, I mean, I have talked to Vitzi. I support his project personally, but there's no. But I mean, it works. I use it. I use other things too, but like we were talking about earlier with the Raspberry Pi. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's. But part of the reason some just works is because the freaking XRP ledger just works, right? I mean, what is some? It's an interface. It's a UI. I'm not trying to knock some down, but it's a UI. Now, I think they're building a marketplace if I'm observing their strategy right. But which I would give them a high five if they make that move. I think that's a good strategic move. But yeah, it's just a UI. And it was the 2015 lawsuit with FinCEN that the UI used to be Ripple Trade, but FinCEN made Ripple take it down. So this like screwed me because I was working on karma coverage at the time, and I don't run a terminal or anything, and I'm not a coder. Or I wouldn't trust myself anyway. I can read some, but I would not. No, and yeah, they forced Ripple. Part of the settlement was they had to shut down Ripple Trade. So that basically took the UI for the XRP ledger and slam dunked it in the flaming trash can. And that's just how it happened. And then unless you could like download Ripple D and actually run it and do your own node and had those kind of skills, you were cut out. You're done. Like, not part of the party anymore. So,
Wow, I didn't know that. When was that? Sorry, Karma.
I think that lawsuit was 2015. Actually, oh, this is so my original name, because this forum's not up anymore, but there was like a quote unquote official forum. And my name there was FinCEN, like FINSIN, because I knew by the nature of what these guys were talking about that obviously they were going to bump into FinCEN. Obviously. And so I kind of used that as it, and I hadn't come up with karma coverage yet. And so Yeah, I had but they took that forum down, so I can't find anything. But I'd love to see some of that data because I'd like to get screenshots or something of some of the comments I made because I'm pretty sure I'm the first person that threw out a few pretty prominent concepts. And and then I had to today. So my account got suspended. I don't want to say the company because they wanted to know where my funds came from, and so I sent them copies of you know receipts and stuff from. Thankfully, the with the divorce thing, the lawyers got me. I have got files of fucking everything. Sorry, pardon my language. Um, and it was all under the FinCEN name. So that was funny. But yeah, I don't know. It's the FinCEN shut Ripple Trade down. That was the end of it, unless you knew how to, go on GitHub, which I didn't know how to do, and I still basically don't know how to do. Um, Unless you could go on GitHub, download Ripple D, spin up your own server, um, run your node, and interact with the ledger directly. That was the biggest blow that the FinCEN. I think it was what like 750, like 750 grand or something. You can, no offense, but this is such a big opportunity. You can choke that down. Um, the real kick in the nuts was shutting down Ripple Trade and making it so that with the ledger versus you still had all these exchanges, right? And Ripple Trade was not an exchange, right? But you had all these exchanges in hindsight. I've never really thought about this, but in hindsight, you had all these like Coinbase and Mount God. Anyway, all these exchanges interacting with but that was fine. Never really thought about that. There's some logical flaws there. That was a big deal, though, man. Sorry, I'll shut up. But yeah, shutting down Ripple Trade basically made it to where if you don't know how to run Ripple D, you can't.
But is that Ripple D still? Is it still is still live, going, ongoing?
Carmen, you there? Oh, hold on one sec. Let me get him back up.
Sorry, I got rugged. I guess I don't know where I cut off.
You're good. What was it you just said, Albert?
Karma, is the Ripple D? Is the people still working on that, or did it change of its name, or how did it evolve?
No, yeah, I mean that's like Bitcoin D, right? Like that's the code that you run. Like, yeah, there's there's multiple teams working on it. I mean, you got to get your amendments and stuff. I mean, I don't. This isn't my type of work, but yeah, you got to get your amendments and your code change. It's all go on GitHub and look up Ripple D. Yeah, it's a,
I will.
it's actively
Yeah.
worked on. I mean, that's where if you want to get the real like information about how these systems work, it's usually on GitHub because that's where all the code is hosted and the community of developers are working and yeah.
Is that also the where the hooks is going? I saw someone Ripple Dev. He posted about hooks and smart contracts. But
I just posted something up top a little bit ago about the hooks. They just did a new thing. I believe that's Death Ranger. Am I correct? I would assume that's on GitHub. I mean, I mostly see it on a different forum, like private.
The hooks code is on GitHub, correct? Yeah. Or what they have of it so far, I think. They're testing it out on the DevNet, though. If you want, you can always check it out.
I think the XRP Ledger Foundation took over the stewardship over the code, isn't it?
Yeah, they did. Actually, that's very interesting. Apparently, I still have some stories to hear about that, so we'll hear those in time.
Yeah, it's a great thing because there's another FAT is going to be crushed, isn't it? And code is in the hands of companies, isn't it? So.
Yeah, I think it's good, and it gets it out of Ripple's hands. That's good. That's just like another FUD buster. Yeah, Ripple controls the code. Okay, cool. No, they don't. They want to get an amendment passed. Well, they can't. Okay, so that means they're in control, right? Yeah, nope. This kind of thing.
Look what's happened with XLS20. It can't be passed for a couple of weeks. So it's in Ripple's favor to push that forward, isn't it? But it's not happening. So how they control it?
I don't know. At the end of the day, my definition of decentralization would be like, who controls the ledger entries? Because if I'm the like nerd with the glasses and the pencil in the accounting office and I'm the guy who writes the thing on the ledger, I might not be the CEO, but I'm in control. Right? That's where the dividing line is for me. If you want to talk centralized versus decentralized. But the hooks thing I'm super excited about. Check up top. I tweeted something, or I shared it anyway to the space. Somebody was using they just made a WebAssembly or something. It's basically an easier way to where you can like script out hooks instead of having to actually do like the C++ and whatever.
yes, I was looking exactly at that tweet from Yellow.
Yeah, so if you wanted to look at hooks, it's under the XRPL Labs GitHub. So essentially, is what they did is they took the Ripple D code from Ripple Labs GitHub and they copied it over to theirs, and then they started to do the development on top of the code base. And then is what they would do is once they think it's done and it's tested, they could submit it as a pull request back to the normal one. And then, now as you mentioned, or someone mentioned, it's under XRPL Foundation instead of under Ripple. They just moved it like the other day. That was always a big complaint of mine, that Ripple controlled the code under their code base because of under their repository. Because essentially that means that they could like put anything into the code that they wanted. And then they could also decide what they're going to pull into the code as a contribution from other people as well. So we'll see when it's under XRPL Foundation who actually is has the permission to pull in code or not. It might just still be Ripple employees, but there hasn't been any updates since they moved it.
Interesting.
And we're coming up on that. By the way, thank you for coming up, Scans. We're coming up at that 10-minute mark, though. So if anybody has any questions or any topics they'd like to bring up, please feel free to hit the speak button at the bottom left and come up and have some chat with us before we close out the space. But I could see that. So I could see that as a good thing, though. So that would really mean anybody could really contact Weetse Wen then, right? Because he is in charge of the XRP Ledger Foundations, and he's definitely an active member. I mean, he comes in the spaces every once in a while as well.
Yeah, I mean, he might likely be because he's like part of the foundation. I don't know exactly what his role is. I know he's like one of the people who is like an advisor or something. I don't know exactly what like he does on a normal basis, but he may be one of the people who now have permission to that GitHub repository in addition to others as well when he didn't have permission to the Ripple one. So it was only Ripple employees and not all employees. It was just a few that could decide what they want to, pull into the code and put into the code and stuff like that. So that it's good to distribute it among more people. If you end up only seeing like Ripple employees doing the commits to the code still, then it's kind of like, yeah, we moved the GitHub repository, but then you give them all access to the foundation's repository, and it's still just them doing it. So it's kind of like silly. It was more of a thing to make people. I don't know. I won't go down that road, but we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, that's more of a you have to, time will tell kind of thing. You can't tell until time comes.
Right. Exactly right. And they only just did it the other day, and there's been no updates yet to the code at all from what I saw. I checked just yesterday. I didn't check today at all, but just yesterday there was no updates yet. So definitely not having it in ripples anymore is a good thing, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think so. I think, the more of the fashion of decentralization behind every aspect, I think is just a safer route and more attractive too, I think, for people.
Right. Yeah. I think that there's many different levels to look at things when it comes to these cryptocurrencies. And I think the most important one is probably the one Karma brings up a lot, and that's who can submit a transaction to the ledger. It's probably like one of the most important measures out of all of them. But then there are other important measures like to look at as well, like the implementations and who's in control of them and making updates to them, and centralization of coin supply, things like that. I mean, I think are less important, but they do have some factor as well. But I think people like group them all together and talk about them all together. It's just like, is something decentralized or centralized? It's like, well, you can't talk about all those things together. When you're talking about that, you have to like separate them all into their own buckets and evaluate each bucket on like where it falls on the scale, because of just because one of those factors is like a little heavy in one direction or another doesn't mean like the whole network or the whole project.
Yeah, I agree. Best
Shouldn't be
decentralization, best measured in scale. They say the only thing that rules in absolutes is the Sith. So everything better in scale.
Right. Yeah. Most of life is in absolutes. That's funny. My son was watching Star Wars episode 1 this morning, but yeah, I think that that's right. I mean, there are other things in absolutes in life too, but those things aren't.
Well, I don't know if anybody else has another question or anything, but probably wrap up here soon. Raise your hand if you want to ask a quick question.
On a techie note, I know everybody for some reason was scared that the ion collider was going to blow up the Earth or something today. I don't know why. A whole bunch of people were freaking out about it, but they did successfully test it, and we don't have any test results. Obviously, we probably won't for a couple of weeks before they release any information. But cool. We new public um, a new
technological advancement that's been publicly released. Sorry.
What's different about this? Because
What's
they've
that?
done this before in the past.
Yeah, they just had more. They had more power this time. So
Oh,
yeah. So the
okay.
problem was is when they were trying to separate the ions and I forgot the quartz, right? And they were putting these different quartz together. They didn't have enough power to split the ion down enough to get. They only got one little CERN particle. They said they were able to find. So they're just trying to use more power, more density, create more of a rip between the ions, and produce more of these CERN particles, which honestly are the only way I could think of them is like quantum particles. Right, it's something that doesn't exist,
Yeah,
but that does
at
exist.
that point, you've got a probability wave. You're most likely right.
Yeah, and so to me though, this is interesting because I think that this is actually how we get to warp drives. I think from a futuristic standpoint, if we learn how to rip the fabric of particles apart, and we can bend time and space, that is truly how we will have faster than light speed. Because
I
essentially,
see where you're going.
yeah,
I
because
see where you're
essentially you're
going.
not moving. You're just moving your place in where the particles are. Because if all the particles are the same in the universe, you're essentially just ripping a hole, and you're from going from one particle to the next particle, right? And
Well,
it's like
or you have two nodes that come together, and you just sort of like doop doop, and you hop from one to the other. That's the way I vision it.
you can. Well, the theory is like every particle is one and the same. So if you have a particle here, it's the same particle at the other side of the universe. And so if theoretically that exists, all we really have to do is be able to just get from one particle to the next.
Yeah.
Said it easier said than done, of course, but
Well, yeah.
and I mentioned a whole bunch of
Oh,
stuff.
geez.
I'm not like looking at my notes right now, but that it's this interesting different mechanics. Huge green candles message me and he says wormholes. But yeah, essentially, I mean, it's a controlled
Well,
wormhole.
that's kind of what a wormhole. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a controlled wormhole though. But yeah, essentially, and it's funny because the head of the project, who is running the ion collider, his actual work was trying to develop warp drives, and then he said he actually came to work for the institute, not to do warp drive studies, but actually answered the question that he had pondered his entire life of how to figure out how to break the space time continuum. And he's like, "Oh, I did it, and I didn't even mean to do it." But
Well, I'll have to see that. Send me something. I'll check that out.
yeah, I watched a whole biography on on him himself, so I will. I'll send the thing. I'll send the thing to you. I have it on YouTube.
Yes.
But I'm excited to see we had another little scientific thing happen.
So I have this goofy. I mean, I just made this shit up, right? But the idea of like quantum liquidity, and it doesn't matter which blockchain you're using, but when you think about it, these blockchains are, I think they're liquidity tools. I think it seems obvious. And the you have like with quantum like a probability wave, like the thingamajigger could be anywhere, the electron. Um, well, the liquidity could pop out anywhere, like in any wallet, right? At any time. Okay, so I sort of think of it like that a little bit.
So they said the scientists say they have discovered 3 new exotic particles: a pentaquark and the first ever pair of tetraquarks, adding 3 new members to the list of hadrons found on the hadron collider.
And are those smaller than quarks? Because wasn't
Yes,
that the
smaller than
smallest
quarks.
before?
Yeah, that's there's now there's even things smaller than quarks.
That's crazy.
It really, and so to me, that's like the quantum realm, right? What we're touching, what they touched, is like the realm that we exist and don't exist in at the same time. So interesting.
Yeah, well, we should probably wrap it up. I think we're
we're right at
slightly off topic,
the...
but that's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
Finish it off with some techie stuff. But, I love you
Oh, I
guys.
like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was a good one to end with. But thank you everyone for coming, and thank you for everyone who watches in the future. If you could follow us up at the top at ledgerscale, turn your notifications on so you know when we're going live, as well as if you could subscribe to us on YouTube, because we stream these every day live from Twitter to YouTube. And I also want to say that none of the things that we say are financial advice, and we always recommend you do your own research. Double check everything anybody says.
Yeah, and like for tomorrow's space, and whenever we do have somebody on that's not part of the team, the speakers, whether they're just community members or invited guests, they do not speak for ledgerscale Foundation. But we do appreciate everybody joining and your participation, the questions. If you'd like to support our continuing these efforts, we have the crypto addresses for various networks pinned on the top of our profile, and it should be up at the top of the space. And yeah, we appreciate your participation. You're not going to want to miss tomorrow. That should be fun. So I guarantee you we're not going to be able to get through everything, and I don't know how much these guys want to actually explain in terms of their methods. So I'll let them explain what they want to. But yeah, tomorrow should be fun, and that's going to be 5:00 Eastern. So other than that, see you tomorrow.
God, I keep trying to click the clapping hands for some reason. I keep doing the smiley faces. All right, everybody, have a good night.